Hello and welcome, my dear students. Today we're going to discuss about our MLS paper 303, which is with technology. And we'll start off with the topic Internet. Today we are going to discuss about the background, the basic services and features. And this whole concept will help us in our topic in the web technology. Now, first of all, let's try to discuss about the evolution of internet. Now, internet, as we all know, is something which we have been using in our day-to-day life now. But today, we want to go back to the evolution of internet. So let's proceed with our topic. The internet, also called the net, is a global network of networks. Remember the point, it is a network of networks. So it is a worldwide system of computer network, and this was developed by ARPA, which is Advanced Research Project Agency, in the year 1970. Now, talking about ARPA, let's continue with the era of ARPANET. And 1960s to 1970 was regarded as ARPANET era, because they were the precursor of today's modern internet. And this project was initiated by US Department of Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, and now they are called DARPA. Before it was ARPA, now it's DARPA. But now our focus is on the ARPANET. So we are trying to focus only on the aim and the under the ARPANET. Now, ARPANET aim was to create a decentralized network that could withstand disruptions like nuclear attack. This is some sort of military project. The first successful message transmission between two computers occurred in 1969. That is between UCLA and Stanford Research Institute. So this era laid the groundwork for the fundamental principles of packet switching and network protocols. According to Oxford Dictionary, Internet is defined as a global computer network providing a variety of information and communication facilities consisting of interconnected networks using standardized communication protocols. Okay, that is something about the evolution of internet. Moving ahead, now we are going to discuss about World Wide Web. I hope you are all aware about what is World Wide Web. Let's go in detail. The most significant development in the history of internet was invention of World Wide Web by Tim Berners-Lee in the year 1991. Okay, he led to the development of original World Wide Web in the late 1980s and in the early 1990s. World Wide Web contains public websites which is connected to the internet worldwide, including the client devices that access web content. Okay, it is also a system of interlinked hypertext documents. We'll come later to what is hypertext, that can be accessed through the internet. The hypertext documents contain text, image, videos, and other multimedia messages. World Wide Web is graphical, it is easy to use, it is distributed, dynamic and interactive, and work across all platforms. This public website was not available before the invention of World Wide Web. That is to be remembered. Now, here I put a small diagram. See, this is some function that you can work on in the World Wide Web platform, where you can use the hypertext to search, to browse. You go online, and then you search internet, and then you can set up a website. This is one concept of World Wide. Okay. Now moving ahead. Now we'll discuss about how does web work. How does the website work? The most important concepts and the underlying mechanism that make the web work are client-server architecture, hypertext transfer protocol, which we call it HTTP, hypertext markup language, HTML, web servers, web browsers, and universal resource locator, URLs, also called uniform resource locators. Okay, these concepts are described below. We'll discuss about all this. Now, let's come to what is client-server architecture. Client-server. Client-server architecture is based on the principle where the client is the program installed on the user's computer, communicates with the server program installed on the host computer to exchange information through the network. Here the network means the internet. There is in my right hand side, there is a small diagram where you can see the architecture of client server. Now see, that is the server and the internet, and the clients are the devices like the computers, then the laptops, then the mobile phone. All these are clients, and the server provides network through the internet. Okay. Now the next point is the client server models involves two separate but related programs. That is the client and the server. These are related programs. The client program is loaded on the personal computers of users hooked to the internet, where the server program is loaded to the host. This is usually a personal computer with large storage capacity. It can be a mini computer or a mainframe computer that may be located at a remote place. Okay, the concept of client-server computing has particular importance on the internet because most of the programs are built using this design. And this type of architecture is sometimes referred to as two-tier architecture. It allows devices to share files and resources. It provides the service, and client is considered as the customer requesting the service from the server. Now, a server usually runs on computer that is connected to network. Okay, that is the nature of the client-server architecture. Moving on, now we'll talk about HTTP, commonly known as Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, Hypertext Transfer Protocol is protocol. Protocol means it's like a systematic rule. It is to exchange or transfer hypertext document between hosts. Okay, now that is the meaning of hypertext transfer protocol. Now we'll study on how does this hypertext work. This is a technology used to transfer web pages to one's computer. With the help of hypertext, a word can contain a link. Remember, a word can be a link to another website, or a document or a web page on the same site, different website. It is the procedure for transferring files like text, graphic image, sound, video, and other multimedia files on the World Wide Web. Now, when a user enters file request in his or her browser by either opening a web file, that is URL, or clicking on the hypertext link, Hypertext link means a word that contains a link. The browser will build an HTTP domain request and send it to Internet Protocol address indicated by the URL. Okay. Now the HTTP domain in the destination server machines will receive the request and it will send back the request file or the files associated with the request. This is how the hypertext transfer protocol works. Okay, I think I'm uh, clear with myself. Now, moving on, the next is hypertext markup language. Don't be confused. The other one is HTTP. Now, this is HTML, which means it's a markup language. Now, what is hypertext markup language? It is a standardized language used to create and structure content on the World Wide Web. It is to create. It forms the backbone of web pages. Now, one thing we have to remember is when we set up a web page, when we set up a website, we work through HTML. It is essential for defining the layout, the text, images, the links, and other elements that make up a web page. HTML will use a system of markup to annotate text within documents with instruction on how it should be displayed when rendered by a web browser. These instructions are in the form of text, which are enclosed in angle brackets and placed within the content. HTML texts are used to define various elements like headings, paragraphs, lists, links, images, forms, and more. HTML allows images and objects to be embedded and can be used to create interactive forms. It was first published on the internet by Tim Berners-Lee in late 1991. Remember the name, Tim Berners-Lee? He was also the one responsible in inventing the World Wide Web. Okay. Now moving on, the next one is the web server. The criteria for how to make the web work. Now, what is a web server? A web server is a software application or a hardware device. It can be a software and a hardware. Please remember that. And it serves as the backbone of the World Wide Web. And by handling requests from clients, typically of web browsers, and delivering web content to them, in simpler terms, a web server is responsible for hosting websites and making their content accessible over the internet. Okay. Now, when you enter a web address like URL into your browsers, in the address bar and hit enter, and when you press enter, your browsers will send a request to the appropriate web server, and the web server will process the request. It will retrieve the request web page and it will share it back to your browser. Then it will renders the page for you to view. This is how the web server works. Okay. Now the next one is web browsers. Web browsers. Web browser is a software application. It is purely of software application that allows the users to access and interact with information on the World Wide Web, which is a system of interconnected documents and resources on the internet. Now, the web browsers will enable you to view your websites, and it will enable you to browse web pages. It will allow you to download files and interact with various online services and content. Now, some well-known web browsers can be your Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, the Microsoft Edge, the Apple Safari, and Opera, etc., etc. There are many others web browsers which were developed along the history. Okay. The next one is Uniform Resource Locator (URL). We also call it universal resource locator. Now, this is something that consists of words, letters, numbers, and a symbol that are used to browse a specific website on the internet. Okay, remember, URL contains words, letters, numbers, and symbols. And every website, every site in the internet has its own unique URL divided into three parts, which are protocol, that is made up of HTTP or FTP, and it has a host name, and then it has a file or page name. The elements in URL are like protocol, colon, slash, double slash, server's address, and slash in the file. Okay, this is the whole concept of URL. Now, moving on, what does a web contain? Now, after you set up a website, there are names required, and these are called domains, domain names, which are divided in worldwide websites into categories based on the nature of their owner. Owner means people or organization that sets up a website, and they form this domain form a part of site's address or uniform resource locator. Okay, they represent or uh, they reflect the types of websites and the names associated with them. Now, some of the common top level domains in the internet are .com, which denotes commercial enterprises, .org, organization sites, mostly of non-profits, and .int, which means organization established by international treaty. Okay, and the next one is .net, means network, and the next one is .edu, which means this is an educational website which mainly represents universities, schools, academic institutes. Okay, and then the next one is .info, which is commercial and can be also personal. And the next one is .gov, which means governmental organization. This represents the government website. Okay, so that's something which we want to talk about today in our paper MLS 303. I hope we can understand what we discussed today, and next class we will try to discuss about the nature of web and web design. Thank you.